Okay, I failed. I was something more concise. Well, I mean, technically, Nick does do 2, 3, 4 hours, and I think he's doing several sections of this. So I'm younger that way, but I will try to get this done. I'm sorry. So basically, we are saying that Dan Hafley does sneak in that comment about the fact that you don't understand those words in the Texas Receptus when you have new translations who refuse to translate those words. And why is this especially poignant? Because Mark endorses the ESV. And the ESV just came out with a Roman Catholic edition. So the ESV will print the books of the Apocrypha and exclude the pieces of verses that were taken out from the Texas Receptus. Okay? That totally is hypocritical. And so it needs to be talked about in the translation thing. Is it readable? Well, those versions aren't readable if they're not translated. And then what you have to see is the big picture. I think of this as Marxist. Marxist Mark. But Mark Ward is assaulting literacy. He does not want people to understand words. If people aren't using the word, you use the word. Now, don't get me wrong, he does, in a reverse psychology way, does teach people the words in his book, apparently. I've not read the book. Um, that's fine. But really, he's saying that you need to stop reading the King James, that it's a sin. Yeah, he said it. That was because it's a sin to teach a kid the King James Bible. Um, because there are words that they don't use. And the problem with that is that if you get rid of those words, you're just getting rid of the Bible. Because that's what's continuing on. And that's where they change doctrine. You know, when they say that for God so loved the world that he gave his unique son, there's a problem there. A lot of these versions will say only begotten in other areas, but they want to cut that off. And they're trying to make a theological point. And what is that point? I mean, really, what is it? He's the only unique son, so I'm not adopted in the kingdom? Well, according to the Legacy Standard Bible, I'm supposed to be a slave, and a slave does not inherit the kingdom, so I'm out. Interesting. I want to be careful one thing, though. I think LSV does keep only begotten, but they're the ones who are introducing that new doctrine. So you can come out with a version now and say that. You can deny the adoption of sons. And don't put it past them. Okay. So as we're kind of looking at this, there's a lot of assault on doctrine. And the whole beginning of this was, oh no, we're not changing doctrine. Okay. I mean, there are plenty of books that say all that crap. And now look at them. Now what? Well, they did change doctrine just a wee little bit. They're going to change doctrine a wee little bit more. It's getting better. Now they have homosexual Bibles. Gay-friendly Bibles. Why? Because you opened the floodgates. So, but this is a assault on literacy. The point of public education was so that people could read, and specifically, they wanted to be able to read the Bible. That was the point. Now our school systems are failing. Our test scores have dropped for the past 20 to 50 years. Just boom, 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 and descending faster and faster. In my hometown, there was a study that showed that the mentally disabled had a higher readability than the black students from the West End of Louisville. Now, that is not because of some nature issue. As we started a Christian school that has kids graduating 5 years ahead of those kids, but they're from the same neighborhoods. Okay, so it's just the fact that they don't teach them how to read anymore. They don't care. They're dumbing down the language. Mark Ward says we got to dumb down the Bible because they're dumbing down the language. Why? The Bible should educate. And if people don't have it, they should get educated. Now, the Fleisch learning scale, I think that study was done in the mid 80s. It was understood that the King James overall was easy reading. You compare that with some other works of English literature. You know, the King James would use less than 1,000 words, while Shakespeare would use 27,000 words. Okay, and when I was in high school, we would learn stuff like the Epic of Beowulf, and we would have to learn a lot of words that we weren't used to. That's part of English literature. Oh yeah, let's just get rid of English literature. Damn! I can go work at McDonald's and y'all use the calculator. I don't need to learn math. That's that's the thing. There's no internal intellect required. We're descending at a horribly fast rate. And Mark Ward is right in line with that Marxist system. What should I say about that? I mean, in general, the idea is that you cannot control society unless you have people who can be controlled. So if they're uneducated, they're easier to control. And that's what Mark Ward wants. He wants an uneducated society. Because everything that he's going for is don't learn, don't learn, don't learn. Oh, please don't learn. And so he can sit there and speak all this stuff to his independent Baptist audience because he wants them to stop being independent. He wants them to stop being fundamental. I know he's not going to say that, but he's saying everything specifically in their lingo, except a little bit more effeminately. Nothing wrong with that. But he'll say things in their lingo and their way of persuasion so that they'll follow him. And when they follow him, then all of a sudden soul winning goes out the window. Okay, because he's getting involved with all the other Reformed theology problems that have been popping up over the last 20 years. We gave the Reformers power over so many of our seminaries in school. Look what's happened. Look at the numbers, okay? It's right there. If you believe that God has predestined people, regardless of whether or not the gospel's preached or whatever, then why? Okay? So, guess what? Seminary numbers are down. Church numbers are down. Holy Spirit stops working. Oh, it's okay. This is the way God likes it. God likes it when people go to hell. No. And no, it's not that I can't say this in a nice, higher, nuanced fashion. It's that I am mocking it because it's worthy of ridicule, because it is an assault on what the gospel is supposed to be. But who am I to say if there is no Bible in my hands? Actually,